Spoiler, don't do this, you will die. I feel like I shouldn't say people will die on camera. Shall we? So we're going to be talking about how horror movies and traditional publishing have kind of the same rules if you'd like to survive them. Traditional publishing is a lot like horror movies. There's dread, rejection, long, terrible silences where you feel like you are all alone and all you want to do is just yell into the void and get an answer back. But horror movies teach us that with the right mindset, the right instincts, and following some key rules, we can survive anything. So I'm going to be sharing 7 basic survival rules found in all horror movies that we can apply to pursuing traditional publishing. Hi, I'm Zilla. I'm a horror writer and survivor of multiple trips into the querying trenches. I'm also your aspiring final girl on AuthorTube. And don't mind me, I just love this campy shit. The 7 rules we're discussing today can help you keep writing, query smarter, and stay alive while you're pursuing traditional publishing. So let's sharpen our machetes and talk survival. Rule number 1. Don't say I'll be right back. In horror movies, saying you'll be right back is basically a red flag that you'll die next. These characters will disappear out of the scene, they'll go into the kitchen to get another beer, or they'll be right back because they're going to investigate the creepy noise that you should never ever investigate, especially if it's in an attic or a basement or a tool shed with meat hooks in it. They always die. And I'm not saying that you can't take a break, because breaks are important for our mental health. But leaving without a plan or deciding you're just gonna coast and take it easy is not always the right choice when you're pursuing traditional publishing. Sometimes people just assume that it'll work out, and that's not how it works. In publishing, the danger of disappearing is that you are not leveling up your craft. You are not staying on top of industry standards or what's selling in the market, or maybe you're taking a break until inspiration strikes, or the muse knocks on your door and puts the story right into your head. And I know that I'm being a little bit silly, but people have taken breaks and just not come back. I've seen it with some of my friends. I've seen it with author-tubers that I loved and they've just kind of disappeared. Don't get me wrong, life happens and people can change their minds about their goals and their wants and what they're willing to do, but the work and the effort matters. Of course, we all hope that a top agent from New York City is going to come and find us and offer us a 3-book deal with an 8-figure advance and that we are going to be set for life. But that's not how it works. And as much as we can't control the luck, we can control what we're doing in the time that we're waiting for responses. We can keep leveling up our craft. We can research the market. We can read more books. We can keep writing, even when it's hard, even in the face of rejection, or worse, silence. If you need to take a break, but make sure that you have a plan to come back, because if this is something that you really want, strategy is going to be your friend here. So what's the move that a final girl would do? She would commit to the process. Think of Samara Weaving. She did not have a choice to play a hide-and-seek game from her new in-laws who are hunting her down. But she had to commit if she wanted to get out alive. And that's what we have to do too. Breaks to catch our breath are one thing. Sitting down and just waiting for someone to rescue us is not the move. You can challenge yourself by reading craft books, reading debuts that are in your genre and age range, listening to industry podcasts, or signing up to just have a consultation with an agent. They are expensive, and I just signed up for my first one, but where else are you going to get specific industry knowledge that's just about your book? So something you can do right now is listen to a podcast. Turning to Story is incredible. The hosts are both traditionally published. They share the ups and downs of the industry, all while knowing that the only thing they can control is their craft. And it's true. I'll link it down below. It's one of my favorite podcasts to revisit. Rule number 2. No sinning. And how I'm going to define this today is no self-sabotage. In slashers, those who indulge in harmful behavior are not the ones that survive. They're the ones that die first, drinking or doing drugs or having sex or what have you. They are not staying alert or aware about what's going on around them. And as an author who is pursuing traditional publishing, we just don't have the luxury to do that. Whether it's comparison spirals, negative self-talk, or worse, waiting for perfection to hit. You know that what you're doing is sabotaging yourself. I recently attended a Q&A with an agency, and one of the questions that was asked was, when and how often do agents look at an author's social media? And the answer actually surprised me. I assumed it was if they were thinking about representing that author. She will even look up an author on social media before she requests a full. And immediately I start sweating. Not because I have anything like wild or crazy on my social media, but because am I branding myself correctly for someone who is looking this early on in a manuscript at me as a career author? Do I have the right thing pinned? Do I engage enough with the community? Do I have the right bio? There are so many things. There are so many places that we can have a mistake. And we don't know these agents likely until we get agented and start working with them. We don't know what's going to set them off. And on one hand, if a typo is going to stop them from requesting a manuscript, maybe they're not the agent for me. But I want to give myself every advantage here. And so I want to make sure that I'm not sabotaging my brand online, as much as I hate to say it. How many followers we have, how we conduct ourselves, it really feels like it should be personal and it should be private, but it's not. If you sign with that agent and you are getting a book deal, people are going to follow you. They're going to want to know you, and what you're putting out there matters. Linking this with negative self-talk, if you are constantly speaking about how much you hate the industry or rejections that you've received, and maybe you're calling out agents or posting screenshots of your rejections, and I'm not talking about like in funny ways like blackout poetry. I'm talking about like calling out an agent for a specific form that they use. I'm talking about saying that you want to quit writing every other week. That is not going to give the agent confidence in you as a career writer. Make sure you are not sabotaging yourself in that way. The second I want to talk about is the comparison spiral. If you've watched my AuthorTube newbie video, you know that I only started taking writing seriously and pursuing traditional publication in 2021. And from there, I've been in, I'd say 3 at this point, like core writing Discords. I think Discord is the best place to connect with writers who are at the same stage as you, and I'll get to that a little bit later in this video. But I was with this specific Discord for a long time, and within the past year, every single person in that Discord, they got an agent, went on sub, and most of them even sold a book. And that's unicorn stats right there. I am the only one left in that group that hasn't. And some days that really gets to me. Other days I feel extremely lucky that I have them to lean on for transparency, for their experience with good agents, bad agents, what's in their contract. I get to know all of that. I get to hear the whisper networks that I don't have access to, but I'm human. And I do feel left behind sometimes. But that doesn't mean that I've lost my support system. It does mean that I've surrounded myself with very successful, very serious about their career in writing people. And I wouldn't change that. Comparison and rejection are going to punch you in the stomach every time. And sometimes you can't avoid it. But what I do, and what I suggest that you do as well, is keep a handle on your emotions. Understand when you are feeling so jealous you can't see straight, and acknowledge that feeling. You are human and you are allowed to feel multiple emotions at once. You can feel jealous as hell that someone who started writing after you got an agent before you. But you can also be a supportive friend, and you can be so excited to watch them go on this journey. Maybe you're not ready yet. That's the tough thing. Maybe you are not writing a book that stands out enough. That's where I am. Romance is what's selling. And so if I can't lean on that, I have to be that much better. It sucks because I do compare. It's hard not to, but you have to keep going. So what's the final girl move? Trade your spiral for strategy. Channel your envy into fuel or spite or whatever is going to get you moving. Repeat to yourself how much you want this. Are you still enjoying any part of this process, or are you just waiting for the milestones? Because once you hit that milestone, there's another one. This industry is all about moving goalposts. And if you can't enjoy what it takes to get to the next one, it's going to be that much harder to be sustainable and build this as a career. So what can you do right now? You can journal. You can daydream a little bit. You can turn to a group chat and vent. I vented to my group chat this morning, and they know that when I do this, I just need to be either validated or talked down. We don't need to go any further. It's usually me feeling the imposter syndrome, and it sucks, but it's part of this, and I just have to get out of my own way and keep going. But put the focus back on yourself, not on the people around you. Well, number 3, the killer is never really dead. Just when you think it's over, it isn't. Whether that's rejection, whether that's silence, whether it's your spiral, it will come back. Burnout will return, whether you have yeeted your first query and are ready to forget, or a rejection comes in on a query of a book that you've shelved 2 years ago. No, it hasn't happened yet, but I do have a full out from 2 years ago, and I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for it to happen. It's gonna suck. Doubt is going to wait in your darkest places. No matter how many milestones you reach, rejection and critique will always be there with you, but that doesn't matter as much as your response. So I want to talk a little bit about the R&R that I got from a top agent this year on my querying novel. Mid-January, I got a request from an agent that I was actually really surprised because her manuscript wish list didn't necessarily sound like my book, but she requested, and 2 weeks later, I got a response. And I won't lie, I was really excited about this agent. She seemed very enthusiastic when she requested, and she was a decently fast responder with fulls. I knew that everything that she said worked. It really clicked in my head. It was immediate. I didn't have to think about it. What I did have to do was go to my critique partners and say, I need help. I need to fix this. I need a brainstorming session. I had to stop writing Murder Night to work on this R&R. And it took me about 5 or 6 weeks, but I turned it back in the middle of the London Book Fair. Don't ever do that. I've learned my lesson. I will wait until after. Sending anything during the London Book Fair is basically like throwing it into the void. It's just gone. We don't know. It's buried. It took her a long time to get back to me, which was strange given her enthusiasm for it. I did end up nudging her just to make sure she had received it, nothing was missing. And she did say that because of the London Book Fair, it got lost and she's going to be reading it now. So I waited about a month or so and I finally got the email. I wanted this so badly. She was an incredible agent. She represented what I wanted to write next, and it broke my heart when it came back as a no. During the revisions, there is a line. Are you making it better? Are you doing too much? Are you doing too little? It's just a lot of doubt. Unfortunately, I think I played it a little bit safe in my revisions, and I shouldn't have. It sucked so bad. And because it had taken me out of Murder Night, getting back into this book took at least 2 weeks. And I couldn't think about anything else but the fact that my YA dystopian was dead. Despite the fact that people want it now, but it's also a harder sell because it has asexual representation and it has OCD semblances and it's a death game. It's hard to break them out and make them unique. And I knew that going in, but I wanted to write it. I was excited to write it. I did take a pause and I came back and I had a strategy. I had a plan. I knew that the criticism that she gave me was totally valid and that maybe I still had to learn a bit. Maybe I had to push myself a little bit more. I think that's what really kicked me in the ass and made me take the jump and go full steam ahead with horror. But here's the final girl move. Stay self-aware. Know that if you get one rejection or 20 rejections or a rejection on a full that you have been dreaming about, it's going to take you off your game. And you need to have a safety net in place to pick yourself back up. You need to know what to do to combat it. Build habits that guard your creativity. Maybe you reward yourself. Maybe you gamify querying or writing. Maybe after the first 10 rejections, you buy yourself a new notebook or a craft book, or you put money away to go to a writing conference like Y'all Fest. Maybe it's playing video games. I think I played the entire Dark Anthology for like 2 or 3 straight weeks. Whatever brings you happiness and allows your brain and your body and your soul and your heart to heal, that's what you need to be doing. If you are obsessively checking Query Tracker, build in a safety response. Maybe you have a trusted critique partner or a writing friend that can talk you down from impulsively querying all the time. Thank you, Sierra. It's also another reminder to treat your writing life like a franchise. Some sequels really suck. Some are amazing. And even sometimes, like me, you've got to do a mini reboot. The villains are going to change, but they do keep coming back. Your response and your approach can also shift. As long as you continue to push forward and keep getting back up, you will stay alive beyond the credits. Rule number 4, don't split up. In horror, if the group splits up, someone's not going to make it. Writing can feel solitary, and some parts of it you've got to do on your own, but most of the time, you don't have to. If you have trusted critique partners and you go to them with an idea, they can help you by asking questions for you to really flesh it out and get a more solid plan in your head to move forward. Online communities are also really helpful, especially if the ones in your local area don't meet often, don't meet near you, or just don't have the people that are writing the same things. These communities are going to be your flashlight, your toolkit, anything to get you out of a horror movie. Sprint partners, betas, CPs, and querying discords are some of the best communities around. They can help you stay the course, stay accountable, sprint at ungodly hours, give you positivity passes when you're feeling down, give you a gut check when you're really not sure if you're writing anything marketable at all, and they're with you whether you're starting a new project, revising, querying, or when you get your first offer, but especially when you have to lick your wounds. There's a lot of questions that I've seen on social media about when to bring in this community. For me, in my first book, I brought in an alpha. Unfortunately, she's no longer writing, but she taught me so much about what it means to craft a book. Now, I typically have to get through an act and feel pretty confident to get eyes on it. Honestly, my CP Megan is the only one that really reads my rough drafts in full. Now, bringing in other eyes that early does not work for everybody, but they're not just there to critique. They're also there to celebrate you. They're there to vent to. They're there when you have the, is it just me question. We need to talk it out before we can readjust our perspective. If you're feeling jealous or bitter about the industry, this is when you need to get the smallest group chat. Do not say it in a Discord of like 100 people. Do not say it on social media. Get people that you can bounce this off of as a sounding board, and they can talk you down. You don't need to bring that negative energy around with you. Get yourself back to neutral and keep it moving. Final girls don't sit still. So what's our final girl move? Put yourself out there and find your people. Whether that's through a social media pitch event, whether that's liking someone's video and commenting on YouTube, but really find them, treat them like gold, and build relationships authentically with people that you are actually interested in. You don't need to be friends with the Twitter darlings. You don't need to be friends with the blue sky posters who get all of the agent attention. You don't need to be friends with anyone except the people you'd like to be friends with. If you're not there for them genuinely and authentically, they're going to know. It's going to come out, and it's going to be worse for everyone involved. Make sure that when you are making connections, you are truly interested in building that connection and being there for the long haul. Maybe that starts with the critique swap. Swap the first 5 pages, a query, something to test each other, because what people post on social media is a highlight reel, or it's a diary, and maybe that's not something that you're interested in either. If you're not sure where to start, hashtags like am writing, am querying, or writing community are 3 really popular tags that people use consistently. Check their pinned messages. If it's a project that you're really loving, tell them. Start engaging with them. And it's going to feel like work at first, but if you want a relationship to work, you've got to choose to do the work. Show up with curiosity. And that's how it starts. My friends tell me that I'm a Velcro friend. I just insert myself. When I find someone that I enjoy, I DM them. I, like everything they post, I quote tweet them, and I make sure that I'm a hype person for them. I want them to see me as a supporter, as an ally in this really sometimes shitty industry. Rule number 5, and this might sound hypocritical, but know the rules and know when to break them. In Scream, the only ones who have a shot to make it out are the ones who know the rules. It's the same in publishing. You've got to follow query standards. You have to give the agents what they're looking for in your query package. You've got to follow genre conventions. Do your homework. Study queries from Query Shark. Listen to Books with Hooks in the Shit They Don't Tell You About Writing podcast, which I'll also link below. Read comps. Read not comps. Read debuts. Read outside of your genre. Read in your genre. Read a lot. Know what works for the industry, and then find a way to subvert it. You can make a twist inventory. I've heard other writers doing this. I haven't done this for myself yet, but it is something that I want to make a video on. There is this screenshot that I saw a long time ago on Pinterest, but it shows up on social media every now and then, and it's basically like all of the common tropes that we love and that we see and how they're subverted. The only one bed becomes too many beds, and there is a very popular author, you can't see it on this shelf, but she did it incredibly. And it actually felt so much more intimate. There are people who do like only one horse. Love that. Shadow daddies are now shadow mommies. I love that. Enemies to lovers, I'd rather read about lovers to enemies. So much more tension because you're tricking your brain. You've likely read an enemies to lovers story recently, but you probably haven't read a lovers to enemies story. And that is gonna help a reader feel familiar enough, but also feel like it's differentiated. But you have to do this on purpose, which means you've got to study, got to know the market. You've got to know what's selling and what you can get away with based on your level of craft. So what you can do right now is write down 3 common tropes in your age range, in your genre, even in your subgenre. For me, it would be the final girl. It would be a haunted house. What's my third one? Friend? My examples are the final girl, seeing things in mirrors, and a haunted house. I'm subverting 2 of the 3, but I'm not doing this to be edgy. I'm doing it as a commentary on horror culture and what we've been familiar with and the things that we love as horror consumers. I want to say something meaningful with my books, even if what I'm writing is technically campy and more commercial. Another thing you can do is go to your bookshelf. Find a book that broke the rules. Immediately I'm thinking of I Was a Teenage Slasher by Stephen Graham Jones. The main character is the villain, and we're starting to see that a lot more in fantasy as well. And in one of my comps, The Handyman Method, the sentient house is sentient, but it doesn't get to him through real means. It gets to him through a series of YouTube videos, and I am obsessed with that premise. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend. You can also read House of Leaves. That book plays with structure in a way that a lot of other books don't. Ask yourself, what made this work? Why did someone buy this book? What was the risk? And what was the reward? What kept you reading? Then apply whatever you've learned to your own work. How can you follow the energy that that book brought when subverting those tropes? That's how you go from maybe and it's too familiar, I need you to differentiate, to yes. Rule number 6. In horror, freezing or inaction gets you killed. In publishing, it keeps you stuck. You have to be brave. You have to take the next right step. What does that look like in publishing? It looks like pushing through a first draft when it's hard, when you don't have pretty words to put down. It looks like sending a query to a top agent that you're really not sure about. It looks like asking for feedback from trusted sources. Please be careful with this one. I know that there are ways to pay to get feedback, but you don't ever have to spend money. There are places like Reddit who will critique your query, although a caveat with that is that people who do critique are not always readers of your genre, and there's really no way to see what their credibility is in their profile unless they come out and tell you. At the end of the day, it's your book. And the feedback really has to hit home with you if you're going to execute it effectively. But another thing you can do is just post about your journey. Help others get to know the community. Waiting until you feel ready maybe won't happen. It was knowing the right time to get married or to buy a house or even have children. And even when we were sure that we were ready, we got twins. And we just had to adapt. That's what a final girl does. She adapts to the growing challenges, to the fun surprises, to anything that comes her way. If you find yourself consistently waiting on something else to happen, it might be because you're afraid. And it's okay to be afraid. There are lots of ways that this industry can knock you down and hurt you. But if you want to do this, you've got to figure out how to conquer your fear and take little steps forward. Don't wait to feel confident. Keep building your courage block by block, word by word, and book by book. So what's the final girl move here? Think about one action you've been putting off, whether it's finishing a chapter, writing it messy, whether it's querying for the first time, or in my case, it's closing out my fulls that I don't think I'm going to hear back from. Write down the smallest thing that you can start and own it. Do it today. Send the email, enter the contest, and act before you get too comfortable. Rule number 7, every final girl has a backstory, and that backstory helps her survive. She always has a history, a motive, a reason to keep going. And so should you, and so should your writing career. The story you're telling is never just on the page. It's in you. For me, that always circles back to the same emotional core. The main characters that I write are typically a little bit guarded with everyone except for one unshakable best friend. My critique partners have come to expect that the best friend is going to always have a major part in the story. They have sharp minds, sharp instincts, and are typically really impulsive despite having planned out something. Every character that's on the page or even mentioned has a fear, and they act with that fear in mind. I love exploring how fear can shape my characters and push them to do the things that they never thought they'd be doing. That's what bleeds into every project that I write. My brand isn't just colors. It's not a catchphrase that I am still going back and forth on. It's not just the fact that I love a final girl trope. It's not an accident. Your brand is who you are. We should all be very intentional about building that brand. It's shaped by what we've survived, what we love to explore, what we obsess over, your backstory, your mythos, your scars, all of the things that have made you who you are. It's what keeps your voice distinct and what your stories will need to thrive on. It's what's going to keep you moving forward. And the fear of not being good enough for this industry is something we can all relate to. I have a theory though. Just hear me out. I'm not a newbie, but I'm not a veteran. I believe that every time I send out a query to an agent, they have a chance to see my name in their inbox. Some of them have seen my name 3 times, and it's name recognition. It's the fact that they're going to come to expect something when they see my name. I know that agents get thousands and thousands of queries a year, but if I can get a request from an agent 3 times, and by the way, I believe that it makes you even more desirable as someone to work with. For example, there's one agent that has liked every project that I've pitched on social media, including the one I'm still writing. And while I don't know how she's gonna feel about this one. I do know that she knows who I am, but I've gotten personal rejections. I've gotten requests to send my next project. I even had my current project that's out in the trenches, I had it pinned while I was still working on it. And I had an agent reject my first project, but request the one that I was working on in the same email. She said it was right up her alley. She'd really love to see it and to please send it to her when it was ready for querying. And I did. And that agent, again, wants my next one. So I have several agents that are requesting several projects from me. And whether or not it works out, they know that I'm building a backlist. They probably don't remember every plot point. They won't remember my character names on the projects they passed on, but they remember how my writing made them feel. They know that when they get a project from me, it's worth requesting because they've done it before. The familiarity of my name will trigger in their brain when they see my next project. And maybe they'll go into it being curious on how I've leveled up, on what I'm doing now, on how I'm pushing myself. And I'm going to deliver that. I know that I'm continually working on my writing. I'm working to be better. I'm working to make myself more and more marketable. Now, don't quote me, but I think Query Manager even tells them now if they've requested from you before. So why not do everything you can to build that brand? Let people know what to expect from you just by seeing your name. And when your name keeps showing up in their inbox with stronger pages, sharper pitches, and better comps, something is going to shift. There was a recent How I Got My Agent post within the last 5 years that I read over and over and over again, and I kind of latched onto this. It was this author that I really admired. She wrote an extremely unlikable main character, and I love unlikable main characters. When I read it, I realized that she had queried a bunch before, and she was just really pissed off that her last project did not make it. She wrote this new book out of spite, and she queried one of the top agencies for fantasy, well, for anything really, and got a request before she was done writing it. And I don't remember how far she was into the book, but the agent knew her, had requested from her before, and with a first draft, she got her agent because of name recognition. And so this to me speaks of persistence. Even if you have to query 10 manuscripts, it doesn't mean that they're never going to be out in the world. It just means the market's not ready for them yet. It means that maybe you have to level up just a little bit more in order to revise them. And I think that's what it is with me. I haven't leveled up quite enough with my YA dystopian, but maybe this adult horror is exactly what I need. Now, is it going to absolutely kill me because I'm impulsive as hell and I want to query like immediately after starting a new project? Yes, but I won't because I have critique partners who will scream at me if I do. Something to keep in mind. Your name becomes a breadcrumb trail. It says that you keep going. It says you're leveling up. It says you're serious about this as a career and you know how to sustain the momentum. They start to associate your name with growth, with persistence, with someone who's not just trying to publish a book, but someone who wants to build a career. That's someone who gets represented. That's someone who survives. Now, what's the final girl move here? If you're not sure where to start on your brand, I start with tropes that I love. So what you can do today is brainstorm. If you look at your author career in 5 or 10 years, what will you see? What will your readers know you as? Write it down and figure out how you can show this. And canvas free, play around, use the templates, see what happens. All I can say here is please don't use AI. AI is theft. And stealing from creatives is unethical. Some other places you can find images, I'll link below. But you need to show people in the industry that you are not a one-off. You have persistence, you can stick the landing. Find the emotional core that you keep coming back to in your life and use it. You and your brand aren't just colors or logos or some kind of catchphrase. It's the themes you return to, the emotions you explore, the things that you try, and maybe you fail, but maybe you don't. And when an agent sees your name in their inbox for the 3rd, 4th, 8th, 20th time, it's not a failure. It's you continuing to grow. Brands build trust and memories with people. That gives you staying power. Just think today, brainstorm. If you can put yourself out there in one more way, how would you do it? I'll be the first to say that I am not an expert on any of this. All of this is my own opinion, my own theories, my own ways to keep going in an industry that constantly wants to reject you. You can't avoid the horror in traditional publishing, but you can survive it. Keep showing up, be smart, be strategic, be intentional, be scared, and write anyway. If you're still here, you're not done. Keep going. And if you need someone in your corner, hit that subscribe button. Final girls don't run. We endure and we keep moving forward. Thanks for hanging out. See you next time. Bye.